guys, it's yours truly, the San Antonio Urban Legends storyteller. And have I got a story for you? Well, kind of, sort of. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna cover something that I've kind of already covered, but we're gonna get deeper into the details because, well, the details matter. I'm not getting too much into the details, so don't expect too much because this is my first time and I'm not really sure. You know, half the time when it's your first time just doing anything, you just want to get into it and try to see where it goes. And that's where we're going to get here. And what am I talking about? Well, today we are doing our first episode of the dark arts. Why? Why, you say? Well, it helps with my healing. Maybe it'll help with your healing. Maybe it'll kill some time. Maybe you'll think the dark arts isn't for you, but I digress. We're going to talk about some interesting stuff while I do my best in trying to work on some art. What kind of art? Well, we're doing monsters. Like, maybe I'll do ghosts. I don't know, but it better be like a two-headed ghost with, you know, I don't know, some crazy stuff, some Silent Hill stuff. I mean, my mind is already going like, I was gonna say, like, it's going pretty fast. Whenever I say Silent Hill, it's like the two-headed babies, and then it's like Pyramid Head. Like, could I make a two-headed baby Pyramid Head thing? Maybe. I don't know. Like, the possibilities are endless, right? But let's get into it. Today we're covering one of the coolest monsters that I think I kind of saw. I'm pretty sure I did see it. I mean, when you have your best friend who's a Jehovah's Witness with you, and she's saying she saw a Lechuza, I mean, what are the chances, right? I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a Lechuza. And that's what we're drawing today. And I'm super excited. You should be super excited with me because I am, like, excited. I've seen some Lechuzas that are very different. I've seen where they have still hands. I have seen where they have bosoms. And still a bird face, which is interesting. Whenever I think of Lechuzas, I think of, you know, having this kind of like body where it's just very round, very much like an owl. And, you know, you're gonna have, you know, these wings that are kind of like going here, going in its different directions. Owls don't really have, you know, a giant, like, it's not like Donkey Lady where you've got a lot of anatomy going on where, you know, she really wants to set the mood for just terror. I think Lechuzas are more about like wisdom, right? And so with the wisdom, I don't think they move that much. I think they're too busy calculating how to take the next kid, you know, what kind of curses, you know, they have to do, maybe for the week, maybe for the month, you know, and we don't know if these, you know, Lechuzas, these brujas, right, these witches are like shaking down villages, maybe towns, and saying, hey, give me some money or I'm gonna put a curse on you. You don't know. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of like Soprano meets like Warlock, or, you know, supernatural aspect, right? Kind of cool. Shaking down the town to avoid chaos, right? You pay, there's no chaos. Pretty cool. Pretty awesome. I don't think, like, when I think of like brujas, I think they're way more powerful than like the witches of Eastwick, or, you know, when you think of witches in movies with like Angelica Houston, and then it got remade with Anne Hathaway. Like, I don't think these women have a chance. Like, this is like, when you think about it, how like powerful is like brujeria and all of that stuff, right? Where they barely have like tiny, minuscule, like clips, documentaries, all of that. Why? Because it's real. That's why. But anyways, we're gonna get into the details. I'm just talking about like my perception of Lechuzas. I feel that the magic is real. It's in your heart. I think we have a lot of passion about it, and I just wanted to say that. Do I feel like they have really, like they have, I think they barely have ankles. when I think of like we know that it's very round, right? We know that these wings are gonna still not be as protruding or like flying, because what is it doing? What is a Lechuza doing half the time? It's like lurking, it's like waiting, it's scheming, it's thinking of things. And so I feel like her head would be kind of like shaped very small, because she wants to hide that human part of her, but she still wants to be part of that animal, part of the background. But she still has that human mind where it's like, you're gone. You wronged me, you're gone. The next of your kin is gone. Like crazy things like that. But I don't think she has, I think she has kind of like the Tootsie Pop type of feet, but a little bit shorter, like barely there. Like you've got these three little like patitas, like these tiny like little claws. And I know this, you're probably like, well, what's going on here? Like, Jessica, talk to me. Like, what is going on? Well, you know what? She's not going to be like, she's not a turkey. She's an owl. So her body is not going to be a giant, like flamboyantly, like crowned out feathers everywhere. I don't think that's, Lechuzas are very low key, very down low. They hold the power, you know? And so that's what I'm thinking. And when I did my original Lechuza, I was pretty content, because I felt like I didn't want to put too many feathers. Like, and I feel like I still don't want to put like a whole lot of feathers, but I still kind of want to do her right, do her justice as far as that, and maybe give her kind of like a little bit of these like tips. But yes, we want to make sure that her feet are very like chicken-like. But yeah, Lechuzas, which is super interesting to me, like there's a consistency of shape-shifting. I think I've been rolling my R's too much today. I've been working at rolling my R's. It's been a challenge, but I really do want to learn on rolling my R's. I can't even roll my last name's R's. It's really tough. And if anybody has like best practices, that would be really appreciated. Okay, so, but yes, this is my Lechuza. I'm not gonna draw on this for like hours and like fast forward. I'm not that type of person. We're just gonna have a good time talking about Lechuzas, talking about how they probably shake down villages, and they're just powerful. They're powerful. Would I say majestic? I don't know. They still kids, so I can't. I mean, but then again, we don't know the whole story, right? We haven't had like a Lechuza fly in and have a press conference, so I don't know. Maybe these kids are gonna be like killers. Who knows, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I could be wrong, but they might tell the future. I know what you're saying. Minority Report and all of that stuff, but you never know. But let's see. I remember that there was like squiggly lines in like these feet. And I'm gonna be a better, faster drawer. I'm a little nervous. Like, you would be nervous too if you had to like do two things at once. So I am trying my best to like cover the content with you, but it is a little bit scary. It is a little bit terrifying. But anyways, back to the story. So it's summer. I think I'm 11 or 12. I had just made my best friend. I had just met my best friend, Melissa, which we will not disclose her last name out of privacy. And so Melissa was a Jehovah's Witness. I was Catholic. We both loved things spooky, but it was kind of low key for her. But her parents also still acknowledge, like, they actually told me about Chinese graveyard. I don't think my mom ever did the Chinese graveyard dare, but her mom did, and she, you know, was Jehovah. So anyways, we were talking about something. I think we had talked about how where she was living, the man there, he died in the garage, and we kind of got spooked. And so after that, we left the garage because we were in there talking about it. And then we went outside, and then we were like, what are we gonna do tomorrow? Like, it's already like 10 o'clock, maybe 11. And then all of a sudden, like, I start hearing these like sounds of like knocking, and I'm like, do you hear that? And I was just like, that sounds like a lechuza. She's like, yeah. And then we started talking about lechuzas, and then it stopped. And then I was just like, but we didn't really, it didn't sound as like direct by us. We could hear it, but we didn't know where. And then all of a sudden, like, we're talking about it, like how we heard about it, she's telling me about the folklore, I'm telling her about the folklore, and you're kind of trying to like compare, right, based off of what you know or share, and have that kind of like moment, right? And then all of a sudden we hear clack, 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 and then it's coming from the tree we're sitting by. And then I look up, I see a foot. I see a foot like that, but huge, like on a branch, and it's just clawing, like it's not moving, like the rest of the thing is not moving. It's like in the shadows. And then I'm like, oh my god, like at first I'm thinking like, whoa, we got an eagle. And then I was like, whoa, an eagle with like, it's making noise but it's not moving. And then I said, hey, do you see that? And then she saw it, and then we stepped away, and then we started screaming bloody murder like across the street where I live. And we are knocking on this solid wood door. Our front door is like solid wood, and one of my parents opens the door, and they're like, what is going on? Why are you screaming like you're being murdered? And I was like, there's a lechuza outside. And they were like, what? Like, they're confused. It's late. And both, like, my parents went over there, her parents woke up, and then like it wasn't there anymore. And then they were just like, you guys are just imagining things. I was like, no, we were not. I was totally awake. It was summer. And yeah, that's the story of the lechuza. And but I was pretty sure, like at first I didn't really know what a condor was. I just thought it was like a giant eagle. Like we had a, like at that time there was a lot of ridiculous things. Like literally we have, like where I live, there used to be a slaughterhouse, and one time a bull managed to run in her yard. Like it was charging her yard, and we are not like in the ranch, we are like downtown. And so it was really just, I was like, could be a condor, maybe it got loose from the zoo. Or not, I meant to say eagle. I was like, well, maybe it could be an eagle. Maybe it got loose from the zoo and it saw this tree because it's kind of big and it wanted to rest. But I was like, but it doesn't knock like that. And then I was like, ooh, we are still kind of kids, like, but yeah, that's probably like the most paranormal thing. And we were pretty much like screaming and crying because it was really ugly. But here we are, we're going back to it. Got these little talons, and then we've got maybe a little tail. But the more you practice with like drawing and stuff, the better you become. Like, I know you guys are like, whoa, you kind of suck. Well, you know what? I'm getting my point across. Sometimes that's all that matters, right? Like, the way I see it is, when people ask me about my books, I always tell them, you can make it great and phenomenal, but it may take a really long time. You may lose interest, you may give up. I kind of like want to say that when I dedicate myself to something, I've made enough mistakes to know where it's like, do 75%. If you did 100, it is gonna take you forever. Because when you work on books, when you work on any pretty much project, you are gonna live, breathe, eat, sleep, poopy it all day long, and you are gonna get sick of looking at the same picture. I don't know what that was, but I am kind of creeped out. I just heard like a ohm. I don't know if the camera caught it. I'm just scared I'm gonna hear it again. I'm gonna get back to work. Okay, that's just an ambulance. But yeah, I heard something really weird. Whew. Let's get back into this little Lechuza. I am just having a blast. It's really about having fun and doing something, because sometimes if you work too hard on something and you put so much pressure on yourself, it stops becoming fun. I didn't say, hey, I'm gonna draw like an amazing Lechuza. No, why? I've already drawn Lechuzas, but I think it's fun, like talking with you, trying to entertain you, trying to, and then we're gonna draw these like feathers, and hopefully, and I love doing feathers. I think feathers are very, very therapeutic, because it's like you're drawing a pattern. So you're drawing a pattern here, right? And then you're doing like little tiny feathers in between, and that's how you make like the pattern. And people have different methods for everything, but I just like to simplify, because I mean, who really, people will, I like to just set my point across, because I have other ideas, I have other concepts and things, and sometimes people just have that one picture, but I bring you a story. And that's how it sometimes has to be. So don't be so hard on yourself when you're like, oh, this picture isn't anatomically drawn correctly because of the way, the sunlight would hit it. Don't do that. Sometimes people are just happy to see the picture. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes they just want to see the picture. They want to see it done and completed, versus I drew 2 perfect feet and then that was it. And you're like, really? But then you have somebody who drew mediocre feet and got all the way up to the head, and you could see that the whole body was doing this beautiful pose, and it set a mood, it set a tone, it inspired somebody. And that's where we're kind of going with this, because yeah, I've never been the type of person to belittle people's art. I know that some artists they just want to shake down other artists, scare other artists to stop them from producing. But I'm like, if everybody drew the same perfect way, it would be a boring world. It really would. And I wouldn't want to play that game, I'll tell you that. And this is a little bit more difficult, but I'm trying to bring it closer to you guys. And then we're gonna draw this branch that's all crazy. I love drawing branches because it kind of represents life. It's not perfect, and sometimes you get a squiggly one and it just screws up your whole day, screws up your whole life. And sometimes that squiggly little branch will just fall off, and you've got a nice tree that is strong, that will get through this. Yeah. And but yes, I always thought that Lechuzas were just really, these powerful witches who just, were as old and ancient as time, and they kind of needed to just keep going. Whether they were gonna need, souls of children, or I don't know. What is their game plan? Why haven't they had a Q&A with people? We don't know. But maybe we're not supposed to know, right? And that's okay. Nobody's perfect. And, I've always been fascinated with Lechuzas ever since that happened. And, my friend you know, she got married, and I don't know, I think she's like way more religious now. So it's like she does her own thing. I don't even think she acknowledges, honestly. And that's okay, because people change. People get older. People have, you know, difference of opinions. But back then, yeah, she was living the dream or living the nightmare with me. And but yeah, I've always been very fascinated with witches, folklore. Like, one time I remember my grandmother telling me this crazy story about this crazy witch. Like, she was insane. She said that she never told me the witch's name. She said that you weren't supposed to say her name, period. And maybe that's why I've never known the name. But she said that this witch was so evil, so powerful, and so evil, and so crazy. Ta loca, ta muy loca, like crazy. She's like, the way she described it to me as a child, I think I was only like maybe in the 2nd grade, still like barely getting into reading, right? Really trying to read books on the occult at Collins Garden Library. That was my library. I also went to McCrillis, but that was kind of like a bore. Collins Garden was where it was at. I was looking for spooky books, looking for books on the occult, looking for books about witches. I was so into that. And, you know, I remember telling my sister, because I was like, remember that story Granny told us? And my sister was like, yeah, that story was scary. I was like, yeah. So basically, this witch was so evil, right? That when she died, hell didn't want her. She had like made the devil so angry, he didn't want her in hell. And so he gave her another chance to live. And so basically, when she finally did die of old age, again, like when it was really truly her time to die. All right, so the story goes, right? So I'm sitting there. So back in the day when I was going to Collins Garden Library as a child, as a 2nd grader, I remember talking with my sister about this story my grandmother had told us. It was about this crazy bruja, ta loca. Like, don't say her name. Like, the way my grandmother described it to me scared me, because I was like, well, I'm glad I don't know her name, because I would never say it. It was like, you didn't even need to say it 3 times, like Bloody Mary. No, you were never supposed to say this woman's name, because she was really evil and really crazy, and just very much scornful, very much out for revenge, to the point where I think she scared the devil. Like, she dies, right? He doesn't want her in hell. I guess he's not ready for her. And so he gives her a chance to basically live. And so she kind of is still evil, still mean, still cruel, and still does what she does. She finally is at that age. She's getting up there. She a golden girl of the dark world, if you will. But she's realizing that her power is dying. And so she's not going to be able to, I guess, throw hands with the devil. And so she does everything to her final days to just try to avoid death. And so basically what happens is she first tries to basically find some spells to avoid death, like to basically make her immortal. Doesn't work. She still feels like she's dying. And then she finally basically just completely, when she does die, she puts in plans to make sure that her casket is completely like impenetrable for the devil to come get her, like her soul. Where basically she is just overdoing it. She like covers her whole casket like with chains that have been blessed and stuff like that. But nope. Her power's dying, she's dying, and the devil finally comes to get her. And that is the end of the story. But it was like the way my grandmother described how crazy she was, it was like she was the jackal from the 13 Ghosts, but she's like Latina, and she's, you know, she's evil. She's like really evil. Not just crazy, she's like crazy and evil. And it was kind of scary. I was kind of scared of that story, and I was just like telling my sister, I was like, you remember that? And she's like, yeah, the story was really scary. Like the way she described like how this woman went so beyond trying to avoid dying, like, was scary. Like she was trying anything and everything. And I was like, that's what she gets for being so mean, so evil. And you know, whenever I like draw like branches and stuff, I always like to like just imagine like where the light goes. I'm always anatomically wrong, or you know, mechanically wrong. There's a lot of different like art references. I'm not here to be like, hey, I'm super specific and detailed. Oh man, my professor, I think his name was Professor Rowe, and he was so cool. He was like, you know, your style sometimes, like, this is not my normal style. I have different styles. I've really tried to kind of understand like the black and white of art, because I feel like it's so simplistic versus like different colors. I tried to like color my own stuff and it did not work out. But here she is. She's coming together. She's got a little bit of she's a little thick. She's had a couple kids, you know. She's that's how she gets it done, you know. Powers her up. These kids, they eat a lot of carbs and, you know, maybe a lot of carne asada. That's why she's a little bit round. But that's okay. That's okay. And but yeah, like when I was really trying to do the research on the chest of you know, Lechuza's, there was different approaches, and I wasn't gonna do like a whole puffed up chest. I like to, for one, I like to shade in stuff. That's like the one thing I feel like pretty empowered about. I feel like that's something that I've always kind of held on to. I loved in high school, I didn't really focus too much on anime and stuff, but like different anime. So when I say that, I digress. Well, I'm not digressing. I'm correcting myself. And what I'm saying is I focused a lot on drawing like Goku specifically. Sometimes like Gohan, but I was really into anime in high school, like a lot. Like, I'm gonna watch Toonami. That's my plans. I'm not going to a party. I'm going to watch Toonami. And we're gonna eat Floyd's. And if you don't know what Floyd's was, well, you are missing out on treasured memories. Floyd's was this like creepy, like almost like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre gas station. But the burgers were like $5 for $1.98. It was insane. Like the burgers were really good. At some point like the look of dread on that woman's face that took your order. She was like I guess she was the daughter of the owner, and then she became the owner, and then you could see like pictures of her family. She had like a little boy, and then he was there like I think during the final like days, and like it was always like the kids were always happy and the parents just were like, I'm done with life. Like, and I bet it was a lot to deal with to have 5 hamburgers for $2, and then you know, eventually there was a price bump where it was like $2.50, and then it went up to finally $3 for 5 hamburgers. But they were so good. They were greasy. They didn't have like lettuce or tomato. It was literally like a little bun, your hamburger meat, like pickle, the onion that's probably like, it wasn't like, I mean, I guess it was fresh onion, but it was like not so like oniony. It was like dyed onion. And then that was it. You weren't there for fries. Fries were not very good. The shakes were okay, but they were really overpriced. But they were known for being a dairy bar. So I don't know. I felt underwhelmed when I drank their shakes. I'd be like, you know what? Today is Raw or WCW Nitro. Yeah, I'm a wrestling girl. You didn't know that, did you? I am old school wrestling fan, like hardcore, like Jose Lothario's. Let's go to his gym. Let's see some wrestling. Oh, there's Shawn Michaels, and he's waving hi to me. I'm waving right back because yes, I definitely was a wrestling fan. I was a Sting fan. I saw the Heartbreak Kid beat Psycho Sid. I was one of those types of women. And I can't remember the Royal Rumble. There you go. I'm like, yes. When I was little, you know what was so cute was in Macrillis Mall, I met Goldust. I got an autograph from him, and then him and Marlena. I think it's Marlena, yeah. Pretty sure it was Marlena or Melina, but whatever. So I got an autograph from both of them, and then I had a little flower folder. Like, when I tell you the flower folder, it was like the folder, if Flower Power from Twisted Metal, yeah, Twisted Metal. If Flower Power from Twisted Metal had a folder, that would be it. And he signed it. He autographed it. I was so happy. I was like so freaking happy. And I showed it all to my friends. I was like, look, he didn't sign anything of yours other than the autograph picture. Well, he signed a flower folder. And that was the cream of the crop right there. I don't even know if Randy Savage went to that like fight. That's crazy. I think that was when maybe The Rock had won the Royal Rumble. Could have been. I was so in love with Sting. It is just hilarious. Hilarious. But here we are. We are still working on this. She's got 1 foot bigger than the other. Speaking of that, whoever you are, this is like a PSA for the women who shop at the Ross on the south side. Whoever you are, little foot, big foot. This going on right here, little foot, big foot, it's not very nice. Just buy both pairs, okay? So I go to Ross. I'm not one of those people that don't say I don't go to Ross. Come on. Really? So anyways, for years now, for a while I thought it stopped. I thought she moved away, little foot, big foot lady. So basically what she does is she steals, because it's stealing. She will take one shoe that's like a size 8, and I'm not sure if it's like a size 11. Like, it's way out there. I'm like, or maybe it's like 10 and a half. Maybe it's like 10 and a half. Because it's like 10 or 10 and a half. I'm pretty sure it's 10 now that I'm thinking about it. Because it wouldn't irk me so bad. But it's like one shoe that is like my size. Because I'll find one shoe and I fall in love with it. I'm like, oh my god, this shoe is so cute. I need it. And then I'm like, where is it? Where's the other shoe? Right? And then I find out that it's gone. I find a shoe that looks just like it, right? And it's only a size like 8. It's never gonna fit me. I'm not gonna get a bunion for a shoe. So anyways, I'm like, and so I flip it over. It says mismatched. I'm like, it's little Bigfoot lady. She does this a lot with cute shoes, especially it's the name brand shoes, and that is the most heartbreaking thing of it all. It's like sometimes it's like Lucky, or it's sometimes like I think I've found Bob's, where I'm like, really? You're back? Like for, I want to say a year. For 1 year, this didn't happen. And then all of a sudden, my sister sends me a photo and I'm like, 2 mismatched shoes. She's back. And that's how I know, little Bigfoot lady, we're on to you. I'm just saying, I don't find that amusing. I don't think that's right. Some people need to go to nice places and have nice shoes. And you stop that. You make us go to other Rosses like we're crazy people when we shouldn't, okay? I'd rather not see the shoe at all. Buy both pairs. That's all I'm saying. I don't think I'm asking for a lot, you know? And so here we are. We're back to the Lechuza. So I think with her, she's gonna have this like scowl of a face, these really like dark eyes. You feeling me? I feel like there's almost like a sadness like between her eyes and her nose. Like she's still trying to hold on to her humanity. I don't think she's like buying it. She's like, you want to sell me down the river? Well, I've got magic in store for you. So you kind of have these like nostrils. You've got this like mouth. It's kind of like a scowl. But it's still kind of feminine. She just doesn't want you. And you've got more feathers. Are you watching? I feel like she probably would have like a credit score of a 520. I feel like she might have done business with cons, right? Like cons, like renting out furniture and stuff and saying, I could do this, I could do these payments. And then she has like a second thought in her mind and she's like, I could have bought this furniture somewhere else. And then she doesn't pay. And then she's in trouble with her credit. And I think I need to make her nose like more. There we go. And I think her face is just covered in like feathers. Because like I said, she's trying to fight, you know, in really kind of keeping most of the humanity in her. Because, you know, she has to go do some dirty business, right? And she doesn't want to be. The human side of her probably feels guilty about it, but then, you know, the magic side probably is calling her, telling her, you know, she needs to juice up. She needs to get those magic gains, if you will. And I always thought that was like interesting. Like that's like a major dilemma, you know, where you've got like these creatures, you know, who are just like, they dwell in the dark, right? They have to do bad things. But then there's like a part of them that are like, you think about that, right? And that makes it more complicated, where she's like, what if I didn't have to do this? What if I said no? And then what if it kills her, or more bad things happen, right? Magic unravels. It impacts like the whole like system of who she's like done spells for, maybe helping people and stuff like that, and just unwinds like thread, like yarn getting pulled apart. And like that's why she can't do it. She's so deep in with her magic, and she's like, I can't, I have to keep going. I need to be evil still, because of the effect of what would happen. Well, here we are, we're still working on her. I'm gonna just erase these little horn things, because that just was not working out. And what can I say? Like, so I was watching this TikTok, and it was really creepy. This creepy thing happened to me today. So 2 days ago, I'm watching this TikTok about this guy who's saying he has seen, or he's read a really great book. It's so amazing. It's so vivid and beautiful. It talks about the future and the concept of like science fiction and all that, right? And so it's called The Illustrated Man. And I was like, wow. And he's like saying like how beautiful this story is, that he cried, that he was telling his wife, and she cried. And I was like, wow, that is just moving. As an author, you want inspiration. You want to read other books that inspire you to create. And I was like, man, maybe I gotta get my hands on this book. Or like maybe there's an Audible or something. But I was like, it's not the same. Like for me, like I try to read like different things. Like I have like Vampire on a D, but like when I read it, or when I try to read it, like it's all filled with all these pictures, and it's not, as an author, that's not really picture motivated, if you will. Like sometimes I want the details versus like a picture. And I was like, man, it sounds like a good book, right? And I go to this estate sale, and this estate sale was really interesting here in the South Side. Like veteran, house was very clean, items seemed very clean. Like when I touched them, I didn't feel like dirty. Like when you sometimes go to an estate sale, you're just like, I need a bath, like bath. This was like, stuff was clean, it was well kept, very like amazing artwork. Like the artwork that we purchased was just, it's the stuff that you really can't find on the internet. And that's what was so cool about it, was that this guy was like into art, like beautiful art that would take like people that are mechanically and technically like savvy in the art world. Like they probably would be like, how did he do this? Like I'm sure there are people that have surpassed, but we're talking about artists that are like, that did like the cover art for like Star Wars. Like they did fantasy art, and it's like not really very well found on the internet. And you know, I picked up like 2 posters, my brother picked up like 2 posters, and he had like rock stuff. It was just insane. But like it was very like, you could understand like his whole life. Like he loved, you know, understanding about like Romans. He liked the concept of, you know, rock music, but we're talking about the 60s, 70s era. So he had like cream shirts and stuff, but they didn't feel soft enough for me, so I didn't buy the cream shirt. But like you could understand why he liked the fantasy stuff. There's a poster of heavy metal that I thought about getting, but I was like, I don't know, I mean, it's kind of a normal poster. But he had stuff that was like from Sex and Robots, and it was so spectacular. Like I got this poster called Astra, and I was like, man, this is like Daft Punk before Daft Punk. And You could almost like envision the music. And but it was the future. Like, he was an older man who understood the future way before his time. And so we went, bought some stuff. I told my brother, hey, they're gonna close at 4. I'm gonna go back. I want this one poster of this guy. And it's so cool because it looks like it's like the illustrator of Conan, but he's like on a different planet, and he's trying to throw rocks against these wolves that are just hungry. And I was like, that is just so like iconic. It represents so much about life, right? And so I go back and I'm looking for the poster. I can't really find it. So I said, I'm gonna go look at the books, because I had picked up Poltergeist and then Demon Seed, and I was like, that's cool, man. And then I think I got a Greek Gods book, and I was like, very 70s paperback, like you feel the love. And then so I go back in the second time, I find the poster with the man with the wolves, and I'm super happy. And then I go back to the books, the illustrated man, I find him, and it creeped me out that I had seen this on TikTok about 2 days ago. And I'm telling myself, man, I gotta read that book. That sounds iconic. That, you know, makes you cry. And I was reading the first 2 pages, and I was like, I can see it's very well written. It is not over technical with explaining so many things. It's very heartfelt, very heartwarming, and very like sincere. It's got the sadness and sincerity to it. And that's me just reading the prologue. I think I'm only like 3 pages in, and I'm like, geez, man, like, please don't be a sad book. Please don't be a sad book. But that's where we're at. And so we're back to the Lechuza. But I'm sorry, I've distracted you and I've kept you here far too long. You probably have things to do. But yes, I was so like freaked out. Like, I'm sure you'd be freaked out too if you like had to figure out like, hey, you know, this book is popping up after it basically turning up on my wish list. And I think I liked the video. I think I downloaded it, but then I deleted it because for whatever reason, to save space. But here we go. This is not the best illustration. This is the first episode. I'm sure my brother's gonna just rip it apart. Nah, he doesn't rip it apart, but he does give me like he's thinking of you guys when he like gives me feedback, if you will. But that's what we have today, the Lechuza. And, you know, it's just us experimenting. You know, he gave me this suggestion and trying to just kind of see, like, you know, how you guys feel about this. I mean, I think it was pretty fun. We are 48 minutes in, and I did not think that we were going to get this far, but we did. And, you know, it's not perfect, but, you know, it's to kind of help you kind of understand where when I draw these things, like what we're covering. And I think it's really about kind of understanding like the culture and how we respect so much of like where this folklore is coming from and why we're so passionate about it. Like, we got its back. It's like, hey man, you picking on our Lechuzas? Like, I don't think so, because let me tell you who you're involving now when you start doing things like that. But yes, I just wanted to thank you guys for sticking through it with me for good old Lechuzita over here, because she's not perfect, but life isn't perfect either. And, you know, I think that follow your dreams, do what you have to do, and I will see you guys later. I miss you so much, and thanks again for watching.